very egregious piece of legislation. And when it came across my desk in the House, I chose to debate it vigorously and to make sure I asked clear, logical, cogent questions about how this would work, why the bill sponsor was doing this, and how it will reflect on our children and our children's future. I, moreover, asked questions as a father, not as a legislator. And that was very important. I felt that I wanted to know exactly how this worked. I have a fifth grader and a second grader, and whenever this bill is enacted into 2027 school year, remember, this is grades 3 through 12. My children, and I recommend all children that are watching this or throughout the state of Illinois, their parents make sure that they opt them out of this program. Now, that's a big problem as well. This is an opt-out program. This should at the very least be an opt-in program. And also, I don't know what questions are going to be asked of my children. I don't have access to the answers that my children give, and I don't have a clue really about what's going on. So this is a very, very bad piece of legislation. So parental rights is a big issue here in the state of Illinois, and unfortunately, the Democrats continue to ignore that from Governor Pritzker on down to the House and to the Senate. It's a situation where parents are being left at the front door, and these children are being brought into the schools and being indoctrinated with this radical leftist agenda. And for them to sit there and have no answers for me, to have no transparency, to say we're just going to let ISB draft these rules and regulations, a liberal organization with very little conservative membership, and then say, okay, we're not going to vote on it, even when it comes back. You say, okay, ISB's going to draft this language. Well, it should at least come back to the General Assembly. We should be able to dissect that language and take a vote on what's being instituted in our schools. I see that with mandate after mandate, with bills after bill, where we say, well, ISB's going to drop that language. ISB's going to get it. We don't know what that is. We can't answer that question. And I sit there and I wonder, then what are you doing here? You know, what's the point of us being here if we're going to have an unelected bureaucratic organization, you know, and institute these radical mandates into our school system? What are we doing here? Where's the checks and balances? Where is that language that's going to come back to me and say, okay, my child is going to be asked X, Y, and Z. The people of this state deserve that transparency. And that's why I was trying to bring that transparency during that debate, but I was met with, we don't know, not sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. It'll be 2026 when the language is drafted, 2027 when it's instituted. And also, if a school district wants to use different language, their own language, that'll be out of pocket money for them rather than this is free. So we know right there with that answer that there's a motive here to make sure the questions that are asked come directly from ISB, come directly from the Democrat Party. And I'm very, very, very concerned as a father what those questions will be. We just, on my side of things, I need to let folks know what's going on, what's coming, what that language is. So it's very easy once a bill is passed, you know, all the, like we're doing now, it's everybody's talking about it. Well, 6 months, year goes down the road, those conversations diminish. And folks don't remember that this was a big issue, okay? But when September 1st of 2026 comes around, it's my job to make sure that I see that language and I let folks throughout the state of Illinois know what that language is, know what their rights are, and know how that opt-out policy works for the 2027-2028 school year. Because there's a reason why these get pushed back that far. It's because, unfortunately, the general population does have a short memory on these political, and I understand, you know, politics is a vicious business, and people have to raise their families, they have to pay their mortgages, and they don't want to be focused on this garbage all the time. It's just assumed, my goodness, that is in some other world and that doesn't affect me. So I understand that. You get caught up in raising a family, paying a mortgage, parents work, just trying to get through the day. But that's why it's important for folks like myself to stay vocal on these issues, and to, whenever September of 26 rolls around, I tell people, hey, listen, this is what this language says. This is what questions are going to be asked of your children. Here is the opt-out letter that you get into the school district. And moreover, we have good teachers in the state of Illinois. I know there's a lot of bad ones as well. I know there's a lot of bad superintendents. There's good superintendents. I have folks in my district, school board members, that are very upset with this piece of legislation. So they're trying to work through, hey, how would this look? What are our options here to inform the parents of our school districts on what's happening with another mandate? But you had made a point, something that I want to touch on, that I think folks feel throughout the state of Illinois and this country, because I know I do as well. And this is a very, very serious issue. You know, I'm Catholic, and to see those children sitting in church and to be attacked by a deranged individual And for that to happen, we need to be giving mental health to folks that are in that situation. We should not be telling them that it's okay to have gender mutilation or to take hormone blockers because they think something about something that they are confused about. It's very important to get them the help they need to prevent these things from happening, because that individual was so lost, so full of hate, so full of anger that he took it out on young children. This is something that has to stop. And there's a pattern with these shootings. And the Democrats like to act like it's not there, but it's there. So until we get back to a sense of normalcy, teach these kids reading and writing and not radical indoctrination, gender hormone treatment, or tell kindergartners, and this is happening in schools with Senate Bill 818 right now. A lot of school districts opted out of it. But watch out for your school district, because if they didn't opt out of this other bill, right now your kindergartners being told they don't know the difference between a boy and a girl, your third graders being allowed to take gender hormone treatment without your permission. These are very, very serious things. Yeah. These children don't know if they want cheeseburgers or chicken nuggets for dinner, but you're telling a 10-year-old it's okay to have gender mutilation and change who they are. It's absolutely wrong. It's going to lead to mass confusion when these folks are older, which is what we see. And it breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. Is the homeschooling bill that we were able to stop this spring. And I do like to circle back. You know, we spent a lot of time as a conservative. Obviously, it's an uphill battle in the state of Illinois, but there are victories that we can take. Okay, and that's very important. And that's why it's very strong and very important for Republicans to be conservatives, to show that difference between the Republicans and Democrats. So one bill was the suicide, physician-assisted suicide. Okay. That bill did not pass. We were able to stop that bill. I was very proud of that being able to be stopped. I sit on the education committee, and it was the homeschooling bill. I debated that bill on 2 occasions in committee. It did get out of committee. It was never called to the House floor. But I want to thank everybody who filed witness slips, the folks in Chicago that stood against this, because if that hadn't happened, this would have been another bill that came to the floor, was, you know, spun as an okay bill when it's really not, and it would have got a vote. But the fact that people, you know, they spoke up about it, they talked about it, they knew it was in that legislation, they knew it was bad, stopped that from being passed. And I will say that it was overwhelming to be sitting in that committee hearing and have thousands of people packing the Capitol. It was no secret that they put us in the smallest committee room in Springfield for a reason. But we had that homeschool families just pack the Capitol. And whenever I would have a question or make a point, I would hear 15 seconds later, I'd hear in the halls cheering. So I knew they were all watching. And that was very humbling. And it was my pleasure to debate that bill and to stop that piece of legislation, to be a part of stopping that piece of legislation. So there are wins that we can take. But it's about educating folks to what's happening in the public school system and what the Democrats are doing. The private schools, yes. And the reason I talked about homeschooling is because the homeschooling bill did get into private schools, which is a violation of religious freedom. Okay. So yes, when it comes to homeschooling and private schools, it's under attack, but it's up to folks like me to show what's happening, to hold those people accountable that are filing these bills, and to let people know what's in that language, what's in that bill, and how it will affect their districts, and have folks in their districts calling them saying, we do not support this. Yes. I mean, I get phone calls all the time. Hey, this bill came up. How'd you vote on it? What was your reasoning? How did this work? You know, we see a lot of bills. So yes, it's important that you ask, get an answer, and try to figure out what the reasoning was, because it's a crazy place Springfield is, and to get an answer from a legislator, just to peek behind the curtain and say, hey, what took place? What happened on this piece of legislation? Just to get that explanation is a good idea.